Good Monday morning. Welcome to our DMOpro Zoom. This is Stacy Turner. I'm here with all my friends. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Today, I wanted to share some information with you out of this book. This is Entrepreneur Roller Coaster by Darren Hardy. I don't know if you guys have ever heard him speak. He has some messages that he does every day on leadership or on business development. He's fabulous. And if you've ever listen to any of his information, I just think he does a great job. And he really does it out of the goodness of his heart. Like, he wants to help people be able to develop businesses and that business mindset. And so I thought that the title of this book was very fitting. The roller coaster of being an entrepreneur. And I think sometimes we may discount the fact that we are entrepreneurs with our business or even business owners because we're so much into the heart of helping people and sharing people. We just want people to know about this. And if we didn't have that heart, then we wouldn't be very good at what we did. That's definitely what drives us. But then what do we do when the timing gets rough? When it's difficult and maybe it's not as fun as we would love it to be. And that's what he was talking about in this section of this book. So I want to read you a quote from, this was Jobs. He was the one that quoted this. And he said, "People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. It's really hard, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if we don't love it, and if you aren't having fun doing it, and you don't really love it, you're going to give up. Oftentimes, it's the ones that are successful who loved what they did so they could persevere when it got really tough. And the ones that didn't love it, well, they quit. Who would want to put up with all this stuff if you don't love it? If you don't love it, you're going to fail." And I read that and I was like, I don't know, like, would I say that about my business? Like, oh, I love it. I love my business. There's things and aspects about it, but I don't even know if I would say like what we do is that difficult either, right? Like, Darren Harding talks in here about, he doesn't really love what he does 95% of the time. And he says most of the time what he has to do just kind of sucks. The never-ending airports, planes, taxis, endless days living out of a suitcase, number of hours he logs onto a computer, researching, writing, editing, meetings, calls, plannings, logistics, deadlines. The deadlines, the days he spends missing his wife, his family, his routine. And he said he just exhausts himself writing about it now. And I was like, well, that's definitely not like, I'm thankful we don't have hours on an airplane and in airports and traveling. And I think, I can get up most of the days what time I want to get up. I don't have to be somewhere at a certain time. Sometimes I think that can be a little bit dangerous too, because we have so much flexibility that we don't really take it maybe as serious. So I was just thinking, like, how does that apply to us as a business? And I think more than anything, it's not as much as of a physical, like, I feel like that was a lot of physical exertion, having to travel so much and speaking. And there's a lot of mental with that too. But I think a lot of ours is what we've talked about is just being able to stay positive, to stay in the activity, in enough activity to get the results that you want. And so I kind of titled this of staying in the struggle, loving what we do, how we do it, and why we do it, of owning a business, running our business. And that looks like Sharing Juice Plus. So loving what we do. So let's just think through that. Loving what we do. What do we do? If we think, okay, what is it that I do in business? I came up with basically the DMO, right? Talking to people whose eyes are on the presentation, listening to people, probably should have been first, which was talking to people, solving problems, serving others, connecting, teaching, and educating people. That's what I came up with. Like, when I really think, like, what is it that we do? And so is there anything that I missed that if somebody said, what do you do? Not how do you do it or why, we're going to get to that, but like, what do you do? Is there anything from that list that I missed? So I'll read it again. Talking to people, listening to people, others' eyes on the presentation, problem solving with them, serving them, connecting with them, teaching them, educating them. Can you guys think of anything else?
I would say encouraging them, because as you were saying that we get, we can get frustrated, things like that. But the other thing is, just because I just did this last night, is and I maybe it was in that list and it's just a different word that I'm looking for, is going through, like somebody's going for promotion, is checking them, making sure their numbers are right and that it's, what they have. So is that in that list? And it's just, I'm looking for a different word maybe.
I think that's a good one. Somebody put in the chat, mentoring and coaching somebody. So that would be sort of like, well, what about like casting vision? That's something that as a leader, that's really important. And that's part of what, digging into those numbers, looking at those numbers and saying, okay, this is what you have left, because new people don't know, right? Like they don't understand the numbers. And so they're going to need somebody to direct them to the activity to get the numbers. And, this is how many you need left, have left to get that promotion. So yeah, I think that's part of the mentoring and coaching side of things too. Anyone else? Did we miss anything in there of the what we do? Okay, so now let's talk about like, how do we do that? What does that look like in the how side of things? So before I move on to that, think about, do you, find joy and do you love that side of it in what we do? Do you love mentoring? Do you love talking to people? Do you love presenting? Do you love teaching? Do you love the education side of things? Do you love the fact that you get to serve others by stepping into their health journey? What about that do you love? And then kind of focus on, zoom in a bit on that. So if I really don't like presenting or talking to people, that's funny, right? You guys know that's not true. But like, if I didn't love that, then I would have to look at the deeper reasoning behind that. It would be because I love serving people. I want to help. And if I have something to share that could be helpful, I would want to be able to speak up and share that with them. So the what that I would love in that, maybe it's not the presenting part, but it's the, serving part of of that side of it. So the desire, the love, the passion, or the encouragement, the what keeps you going in that struggle would be that I know I'm serving somebody. So that's just kind of think through that list. Of that list, what it stands out to you of the what that you do want to zoom in on and kind of focus on that. Keep your eyes set on that side. So how we do it, I said in-home, online, or in person. Again, people's eyes on the presentation. Group events, one-on-one. So this is more, talking to people again, booths or tables like at craft fairs or that sort of thing. Community involvement when you're around others and you're getting to talk to them. Larger presentations where you're actually doing like what we used to call a Prevention Plus lecture. I know I got to my, to the point in my business where I think I was working towards senior sales coordinator, and yes, it was like around in there. And I just thought, what do senior sales coordinators do? What do Q and MDs do? What do NMDs do? I know they're presenting to sort of a larger group in either that they're educating their team or they're educating their community. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to really learn PowerPoint and learn how to do a presentation style, not just like out of a book or something. And I found I really liked that. And I started stepping into that leadership side of it in a larger presentation setting. So how we do that, I think DMO goes back to that, right? Like you're talking to people, you're following up with them, you're doing good customer care, you're connecting with your team. So that could be online talking to people though, like social media. If you hate social media and you think the only way that I can do this business is if I'm doing, posting on Facebook, and I hate Facebook and I don't understand computers and I don't want to do it, then there's not going to be a lot of joy that comes with that. It's going to be hard to help you love that part of it, but can you hone in on one of those aspects that you do love? Maybe you're really good at one-on-one with people and you just set up a lot of one-on-one events. That's fine. Like lean into that and do those one-on-ones. You'll get better, and then you get to connect with others in a smaller group setting. Maybe now you have 2 and yourself, and then 3, and then you kind of step into that doing a group presentation. Maybe you're like, I hate doing events at my home. I just don't like having to clean the house and getting it prepped and, like whatever. Or what if you love that? What if you love hosting people and you love having people come over to your house and you like all the aspects of hosting an event at your house? That would be sort of part of that, how you do it. Lean into that and if you love that, then lean into that, and then, find ways to just be even more efficient at that and, more effective. So that's what I had listed for the how. Do you think I've missed anything? Let me read it again. In home, online, in person, group events, booths or tables, community involvement, and larger presentations, like getting in front of people. Did I miss anything? I think I said one-on-one, but I'll put that back in there. Okay, so then let's move to the why we do it. So sometimes you might be like, you know what? I don't really love presenting. I don't really love the education because I feel like I don't have enough of the information that I can really educate someone well. I don't really, love even one-on-ones because I'm not sure of myself and the verbiage, but I love why I do this. I love these fruits and veggies in a capsule. I love that I can help kids get more gummies, fruits and veggies into their diet just with gummies. I love the results that people have. I love the aha moment when someone is, understanding for the first time. And, maybe it's the passion for what sharing the product does for somebody, that's your why, that drives you enough to do the harder things. It could be the season of life that you're in. The reasoning behind why you do the hard things, because you need income, because you need money, because you have a mortgage that needs to be paid. There were times where I did this because I was afraid we were going to lose our house. I didn't want to go back to work as a dental assistant, and I needed the income. I didn't want to put the kids in daycare. I wanted to be home with them, and I needed this to work. And so I was willing to step in and do those harder things because the why was so strong for me. So the why you do it is often going to drive even more than the how or the what, or it drives the how and the what. At one point, I homeschooled the kids for 1 year, and I said this before, at the end of that year, I was like, who can I pay to do this? This is so hard. Like, I was not enjoying it. We were surviving, but like, it was just not where my heart was. And so that passion was to put them in private school. And, I was putting all 3 of them in private school. So I had to pay for that. So that why was partly, the desire to have the income. I wanted to share and build a business because I really did believe in what I was sharing in. And I did enjoy the process of how I was sharing it. But the why at that time, I had a bill to pay. I had to pay, and I wanted them at that school. Like, I knew they were getting a good education there. It wasn't just so I didn't have to do it. Like, I didn't want to do it because I didn't feel like I was doing a great job. And I knew that they were in the right spot. And so that drove me. That why was really the passion for part of that. I wouldn't say it was like passion that made me happy, but yet I was like, it was something that was really important to me. So what are the things that are really important to you that serves? I had a long-term vision of someday I wanted to be able to travel when I had grandkids, to be able to go to them, to see them, to spend time with them. I wanted the money to be able to do that, the financial income, but I also wanted the time, freedom, and flexibility. And a lot of times with businesses, you don't get that. He's talking about traveling and being away from his family. me doing my business didn't take me away from my family. I was able to lean into my family more and be more present doing that business than any other business that I could have done. And we have multiple businesses. Those businesses take my time away from family, but this one didn't, especially when my kids were little and that was my only focus. And so sometimes that why changes with the season in life, right? And like where you're at right then, or where even you're living. It could be, you know, I know some of you have had aging parents, and that you had the flexibility and the time freedom to be able to be with them and present in their last days, and to, you know, serve them well as they had served you. I mean, that's a huge sacrifice in a thousand different ways, and yet it's so very meaningful. So the why is like, what is meaningful to you? And I don't know, people talk about like the why that makes you cry. I don't know that I ever had a why that made me cry, but I had a why that was important enough that I was willing to say, okay, I'm going to I'm going to do the activity because of this reason, and keeping that, you know, forefront in your mind. Sometimes that's a need in your life or a desire in your life. You know, it could be a financial need or a desire for the future. Just a plain old love for other people. You know, it's so hard to see someone struggling with their health and to know we have something that helps, that can help. And that can be a frustrating part too. Just they won't listen. You're like, what don't you understand? The fruit or the vegetables? Like, this is so simple. Like, just take it. You know, just try it, just order it. And I'll tell people, look, I'm not asking you to marry it. Just give it a 4-month commitment. Just try, just get it into your body. But that desire, a strong love for other people is really, can be a good, strong motivator of your why. For yourself, you know, a need for myself, I was happy being at home, but I was an entrepreneur by, you know, from the time I was little, I was doing lemonade stands and snow cone stands. And I taught quilting lessons when I was like 20 years old. And I was making diaper cakes for, you know, baby showers. I was going to be doing something, guys. Like, I could have volunteered my life away for the last 20 years. And I do volunteer a lot of my time, but I've also been able to invest in something that has financially, you know, blessed our family. So my time was going to be spent somewhere. Your time is going to be spent somewhere. You know, it's going to go to something. And I needed that for myself, that personal develop, that personal growth. You know, I am who I am today because of the mentors that I've been around, you know, that have poured into me, that have spoken into my life. And then I want to be able to do that back with them. And then again, for our kids, like I mentioned. So I would love to hear from you guys. What is the why? What are some of those whys that will drive the how and the what for you, that just keep you in the game and keep you, you know, moving through that struggle? What's a why for you guys?
Well, for me, it's I have researched this food system a lot, and I truly believe that a lot of the chronic diseases that we have in the United States can be prevented through good health. And so that's really my motivating factor. I've had multiple people, family members, that have passed away due to illnesses that could have been avoided. And if we can just educate our friends and family and their friends and their family, we need to be doing it. I feel it's kind of a mission and a passion. So,
Yes. So how do you help that joy? Like, how do you tap into that personally when you're in a place where you're just like, this business isn't working, or why won't people listen? Or how could she?
it's frustrating. I'll have to say it's frustrating because you have to meet them where they're at, because not everybody has studied it for 10 years. So it's little dripping on them, you know, showing them, hey, I wanted to share this with you. And then just get them, you know, post on Facebook, post whatever social media you're comfortable with, just sharing it. And they get to see kind of, they'll watch you. They may not comment, they may not like anything you say, but they're watching you. And it's kind of like a slow process. And that's okay with me. I'm okay with that, as long as they're learning and getting something from it. And hopefully eventually they'll see it.
Someone, let me see. Yeah, like that really is important to keep the long-term, goal in mind too. Sometimes we can focus so much on the short, like I need this many points by this date, right? Like we have to have both sides of our brain working on that side. Like it's a sprint and it's a marathon together. The marathon is like, I'm going to stay in this lane. I'm going to keep moving because there's 1,000 people out there that need this message, and I'm going to keep telling them about it. And then the short term of like, okay, I need this many points. So then you need somebody to make a decision. Like they're saying yes affects your, promotion or your team members' promotion or whatever. So you kind of have to have both eyes on that, and really, having a heart for other people. And then I just want to encourage you to tap into something even deeper than that, though, because that can be frustrating when we're patiently waiting for them to come along and they're just not getting it. They're not understanding right away. What can you tap into that you do enjoy, that you do love, that you're like, okay, I'm going to go back to this. Like, I know I enjoy this part of it, and I'm going to lean into that part that I do like. How about somebody else? Someone in the comments said, let me see, flexibility to take care of my daughter and having a mission to help others, right? How about someone else?
I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, so you have someone that is inquiring about it, and then you forget to follow up. I got to work on that.
Yeah. So having some place to write them down, our DMO planner, I have to tell you guys, like I'm really far behind in writing people's names down. I've been like responding to messages, sending out information, had a couple people that I spoke to at a booth, and then it's like the next week you're just moving on to the next conversations and the next people. So having that system where you're writing it down, it's not all in my head, like it's in my phone, honestly, through text messages, phone calls I've made, Facebook messages, but I need to get it off of that phone and back into my planner, where I will see it on a more regular basis. So if you guys are a bit like me after this call, that's what I'm going to do, is take some time to go dig back through my phone, find those conversations over the last couple of weeks, and then really write them down, make sure they're in the contact section, and then planning out my week. But yeah, that's an easy one to just kind of move on to the next one, next conversation, and not give enough people, or give people enough exposures that they're going to come along and order. That is something that hopefully the DMO planner helps us with.
And Stacy,
Yeah, go ahead.
when I first started the business back in 2004, my huge goal and my huge why was I wanted to retire early from the corporate world. So I wanted to retire at 59 and a half, but then I had to figure out, how am I going to pay for my medical insurance from 59 and a half to 65? So that was my huge why. I mean, obviously I needed the fruits and vegetables, so that was kind of a no-brainer, but I mean, that was a huge thing for me because that was a lot of money. So I knew I had to make at least, and the goal was $400 a month to pay for my medical insurance. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
So that was a huge why.
That's a great reminder. We need a, like break it down into something smaller. She knew it was $400 a month is what she needed. Maybe you need to pay a car payment or a house payment. If you know what that is that you're shooting for, that can be really motivating to your subconscious mind too. And it will fixate and it will go for it even when you forget the reason why you're doing it. So that's a great reminder. Is there something, maybe it's not this huge big goal. I mean, retiring early, that is a big goal to have, but you knew, you needed at least that much money to be able to do that, and for what. So thank you, Barb. That's a great reminder too.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'll go. So I think that has been one of my biggest struggles, is I didn't really have a why. I mean, I joined really, I liked my sponsor, I respected her. And so, and I started building the business, but, so I keep going, okay, why don't you have a why? What is your problem? Whatever. But so I finally, because I'm kind of with Joy. I mean, I know people need it. I'm tired of watching people die. My brother died at 59, 4 years ago. And it's that I have a friend, two friends this year who passed, not this year, the end of last year, who passed away of cancer. So it's just that constant. And I watch my nephews gain weight. But so the other day, Friday, I think I was talking to one of my grandnephews, and it finally hit me that I needed to keep getting a why. But I said to my husband when I got off the phone, because we don't struggle per se. I mean, we're at a, my husband works hard and I homeschooled. So I haven't been working out of the house for many, many years. But the long story short was, I was going to say my nephew was supposed to go to the Dominican, and his mother didn't get his paperwork in time to get his passport. So I said to my husband, I need to build this business so I can take that kid on a trip. It broke my heart because I love him so much that his mom didn't take the time to do that so his dad could take him. And so, because I asked him, well, how come you're not at your dad's? And he said, oh, he's in the Dominican. And I had sent him a little bit of money. So that's one of my whys now. And now we're trying to get organized to go to Italy for our 40th anniversary. And I'm like, I need to start paying these bills, being able to not make my husband feel like he has to work so hard. So I was like, Joy, I felt like, I want to help people. You're tired of watching people die or get sick or whatever. But I see your point, because when my brother wrote back, I used your indirect approach, super indirect approach with my brother the other day, because he still hasn't, my other brother hasn't done anything. He said, and so this is a question for you. He's like, personally, I partake of an organic Mediterranean diet and exercise and meditation regimen to meet my personal needs and choose not to take supplements. And then I got thinking, well, you have high cholesterol, so you're taking, a prescription medication. So I'm like, okay, so I haven't responded to him because I wanted to pause and think, because my first reaction will be, well, you're on medication. And so how does that fit in? So
Well, this isn't a supplement. This is food.
Right. He still doesn't understand what it is. That was the first thing I thought of. So he said, so I choose not to take supplements. I would say, you're right. Like, as many times as you can agree with him in the conversation, his heart is going to be open and right, so you say, praise him for what he's doing. Oh, that's awesome. I know you've always been such a great example of, eating healthy and, whatever. You don't have to be over the top, but like, say something like positive to what he's doing, and then say, you're absolutely right. Supplements are not the direction to go. I'm so glad you know that. What about supplements aren't you happy with or don't you like? Or, try to get him to give you information. He's going to want to talk, more about himself. Ask about the diet. What, cookbooks does he use? Get into a conversation with him to where he's feeling like you're not trying to tell him what to do or tell him something, and lean into what he is doing and encourage him with that. And because he said, I choose not to take supplements, that shows me he doesn't understand what Juice Plus is. So his heart is probably not open even to the point where he's watched a video. So if you just say, well, Juice Plus isn't a supplement, I don't know, him, but it sounds like I would really just try to lean into what he's doing and his into that conversation, have a conversation with him. And then you can say, at some point you can bring it back to, that's why you love, the fruit and vegetable capsules versus supplements of like a vitamin, because it's just like he's doing, you're already doing this. You're exactly right. I say those words. You're exactly right, and, it just keeps their mind open. So that's my suggestion. Anyone else have any suggestions for Lisa on that situation?
will say too, Stacy. So I did send him some video. He's usually pretty good because when I went back to school, he used to read my papers and stuff. But I gave him the fruits and veggies this year for Christmas because I'm like, I don't know what to get him, and I'm done getting. So I did give him those, and I've asked him a couple times if he's taken them. And he said he is, but I mean, he should be done with them by now. And then I also gave him omegas because he was doing something from Sam's Club last year for his birthday. And so he takes omegas. So I don't know. So I guess, yes, you're exactly right. But I guess I can't figure out what's holding him back. And maybe I should just ask him that. I don't know.
Yeah. You know, if he's watched videos, and you could ask him. I would say just have a conversation with him. And
Yes, Renee, thank you. I was thinking I should share that because I did. She says share the video on how to make it, because I didn't share that when I shared a couple of what do you call them, studies, and another one, Optimal Health by Kim Dazzle. So thank you guys.
it could even be that, like, when I say have a conversation, like a real heartfelt conversation, you know, you were in tears talking about your brother that passed away. That was his brother too.
Yes.
So, you know, lean into that side, like maybe share the why are you sharing this with him? It's not just a business decision for you. It's not because you want him to buy a product from you. It's not because you sell a product. It's because you so deeply care about him. What was that loss like for your family to lose your brother? And that, you know, he has high blood pressure. And if you have something that could help him, and you know from the research that what kind of sister would you be if you didn't share that with him? And, you know, that you're doing this out of a deep love for him, that's probably the depth of the conversation to take it to. Does he really understand your heart and why you're sharing that with him?
Yeah, I think you're right. Thank you.
See, even that makes you, you know, teary-eyed. Like, that's just a much more connected conversation. It's a vulnerability. I mean, vulnerability is one of the best human connections that there is. And so leaning into that side of it, you know, it might help him to really see your heart over just the selling of a product. Sean says that she's found family is the hardest to get on board. Amen. That is so true. I don't know why. Like, why is it? But it is. It can be for sure. So, yeah. All right. Anyone else want to share that why? Maybe that why that really is what drives your conversations, and that stepping out and talking to people. Right. Well, there's some good ones in the comments too. Thank you guys for sharing that. Sean says family should be our best supporters. Yeah, it is an interesting thing. It's like with new people, I tell them either your family's going to be all on board or your friends are going to be on board, but rarely are family and friends together. You know, like, I don't know why. It's usually one or the other. Something I did think of, though, as we're starting up new team members, this is really an important aspect to them, because they don't necessarily have a strong knowledge of what we do, right? To have like a passion or a love for what we do. Everything we're asking them to do is going to be new and outside of their comfort zone, and like probably not like a love for it. So can you tap into kind of that list that we had? And I'll share that list on Voxer. Like, what is it that they do love? And are there aspects of it that they love about that? Then like hone in on that one with them, kind of help them with that side of it. And then how we do it, you know, you're going to be doing the presentations for them, and, you know, hopefully having some of those conversations for them. They're bringing people to you. But if they're all about social media, you're going to have to walk them through how to do that effectively. If they're if they love hosting, then lean into that with them and, do an event at their house. And then that why that they do this, their belief is probably, depending on how long they've been on Juice Plus or what their experience is. Most people that start and, as a customer and a team member right away, their belief isn't really that strong enough that they said yes to both of it and their excitement, but they don't have a, really strong experience for themselves yet. So they're going to kind of have to borrow yours. They're going to borrow your courage. They're going to borrow your confidence and really next step thinking a lot with them. There's a lot of next step thinking that has to happen to help them get to even Partner Plus or QSE. And then, we can only handle about 3 main, big rejections, whatever that looks like to you or to your new person before you're going to have to get some plug yourself back into a positive outlet and get some encouragement. So your new team members are going to have the same thing. If they're having a negative experience, like one of the gals that we started up, she was super excited. She was all gung-ho. She posted on social media a couple times and she had this friend that was just total naysayer and just being super negative. I didn't catch it. I didn't see the conversation. I didn't know. And it was weeks later that I was where is this excitement kind of waned? And as I talked to her, there was three different people that really shot her down, in the very beginning. And I was oh, she's at her limit. 3 is rough to be able to handle that many. How can I step in and help support and encourage her? So just remember that process with your new team. They're going to need your help with that too. So your why, your what, your how is really going to be what helps fuel them through those rough times of people telling them no or just not being excited about what they're so excited about. All right, guys, thank you so much. I'm very glad that you are, on here with me, that you're contributing. Thank you for the chat room. I always am I want to read what you guys have, but then I don't want to miss something. So I appreciate your feedback, and I will put this recording in our app and also in our Voxer group. So thank you, everyone.